Shoot.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, good morning.
That was a pretty lackluster welcome.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of having trouble with that because my niece Nancy yesterday told me that she could do a better job at it than me. And I was thrown for several reasons. And then my niece Nancy and my sister got us each mugs that say Ring of Renegades and our name on them. So we can drink our beverage in the morning during the program. So shout out to my sister Beth and to Nancy. I'll get this to you, Tom, in the next couple of weeks somehow.
So I can't use my cup anymore. Okay. All right. Well,
there you have it. Happy morning.
Liven up the pace. All right, you're still here. All right, everyone. Good morning. My name is Tom Brush. This is Bob Graham. And this is today's Antidote, our daily broadcast to help you try to identify the one thing that will help you hopefully move forward today, or maybe next week or next year. Just something that you can add to your toolkit when you get stuck and you're uncertain of your next step. And we love when you put in comments. We'll talk about our topic of the day, and we hope that you will add to that conversation. And if you have your own one thing, please feel free to put it in the comments, because I'm sure that what is real for us might be a little different than for you. And we would love to have your feedback and thoughts on our topic of the day. So our topic of the day, or the week actually, is change. Something we all love. And, yesterday we talked a little bit about why do it? What's the point? So today we're going to talk about why is there a fear of it, or what's the fear of change? So do you have some thoughts to open it up with, Bob?
Sure. Fear of change is really simple. We don't know what's coming. There you go. Show's over. It's been a great episode. Now, I'm being funny, but at the same time, I'm being serious. When we change, we are not certain of the result. So therefore, when we lack certainty, we tend to be afraid. Even if it's just a slight fear for just a moment, but change is all around us. That's part of the human condition. You have no guarantee that tomorrow the things that you thought were true today exist. Look, 11 months ago, a virus pops into the scene, changes almost everything. Prior to that, SARS and MRSA and influenza and Legionnaire's disease and all these things that keep coming every couple of years. There's always that uncertainty. And so change, if we make a change and it improves things, we like that. But we have no way of knowing when we make a change. If you and I decide to do this program tonight at 8 p.m., we might get 600 extra people paying attention to us at 8 p.m. We might get no one paying attention to us at 8 p.m. And in fact, you and I are going through a little bit of a change this week. Can I tell them about that? Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time, right?
Oh, yes. All right.
1 p.m. Eastern time. Tom and I are going into an area that we haven't been. We're going to do a Clubhouse live thing. I don't know what broadcast.
Room.
Thank you. See, still trying to figure out the lingo. And we're going to do that. And I had a little bit of trepidation about that this morning in the shower. It was like, oh, are we pushing something that we shouldn't be pushing? Are we going in the wrong direction? And then I thought, what's the worst thing that can happen? Worst thing that can happen is it's horrible. No one pays attention. We're talking to each other, which we do anyway. And we do it for 3 weeks or a month and then go, hey, you know what? That really wasn't what we wanted. And we move in a new direction. But I had to go through that uncertainty and that fear phase for at least 3 minutes to calm myself so I could deal with it. And let's be honest, Tom, in the scheme of things, a clubhouse room is not going to make or break us, I don't think.
Never know. Hard to tell till we do it, right?
And maybe that's part of this, and part of the fear of change is that we really don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think yes. And I also think, I think it's just we get comfortable doing something. And then the idea of doing it differently or doing something differently is fearful, because now that's when the uncertainty comes in. You're like, wow, I had a really good gig. Things are going along great. Now it changes. Now something's different. Now, I've got a new supervisor. Somebody new bought the business. I'm taking a new job. I'm now leading a team. All of those things could be really positive, or they could be negative. And for some reason, or they could be just neutral. And for some reason, we tend to think that sometimes that it's going to be the worst. Or we think it's going to be amazing. And then it's just okay. And, and I think that uncertainty, because every time we go through change, we have one of those things, right? We make some evaluation, there's some result, and we decide, well, that was good or not so good. And so we either get comfortable with change or we get really uncomfortable with change. I'm not sure we ever get completely comfortable with it, but because we just never know. Although I would imagine that the more times that there is change and good things happen, the more comfortable you become with change.
I like Peter's comments, so I'm going to throw it in there, Tom. Peter says recreational change is fun. I don't know if that's like recreational sports and recreational marijuana is fun, but because not knowing what's next is the point. Okay, so that's recreational change. By contrast, career change offers higher stakes and the mind may steer towards what can go wrong. And I think that's a really good point. If you and I were just doing a clubhouse room for the heck of it, we'd be like, yeah, let's try it. We'll call it two old guys in a clubhouse room and we'd have a great time. For better.
You might be the only one.
I don't know. I think we might have a party there. Maybe we have to rename it, Tom.
We can do that. We might not want to do that at 1:00 though.
Yeah, that might be the 8 p.m. version. But who knows? And I think one of the things that I've noticed in the last 6 or 8 months is it's not so much that you have to be afraid of change. It's that you have to accept the discomfort that comes from the possibility of change. And the more you can accept that discomfort, the more comfortable I think you are with making changes. And the more you start to realize they should be incremental changes. So this clubhouse room thing we're doing tomorrow, we didn't put out big spotlights. We didn't tell every single person and their mother. We announced it here just because we could, and we'd love to get someone in there, but maybe no one shows up. Who knows?
Well, I think that, there's all sorts of change. And I think we look at change all sorts of different ways. You win the lottery. That's change. Yeah. Do we have a fear of that? And ultimately, sometimes winning the lottery can turn out to not so good result. People don't know what to do with it. They get more attention than they ever thought. And so I think that even those things that we might think are great sometimes don't turn out as well. You move to take a new job and think, oh, this is going to be great. And then you find out it's not as great. And so I think that to me, I guess the fear of it comes from not knowing the potential results. We have some idea. We think, okay, it's a new job. It's a promotion. I'm going to make more money. I'm moving to a fun, exciting city. All of these things could be great. And if that's not the case, I think in the future, we get more fearful of, well, I'm not sure I really want to move. I've now become comfortable in this space. And so maybe we aren't as looking for as much change. We just get comfortable with status quo. And, that can turn out to not be as effective as well. And so how we, try to not judge what the results are and just let it be like, okay, what did I learn? What might I do differently? And what went well? okay, how do I move forward with that information? So, I mean, in a lot of it, since it's any change, when you only focus on the results, you can understand why there might be fear because it's different. One way or the other, it's going to be different. It's no longer going to be the same.
So Peter gave us a follow-up comment. Recreational change could be a vacation to a new place. All change could be a vacation to a new place, right? I mean, there have been times when I've made a change, like this morning, I've got different internet technology in my house, and if it's working the way it's supposed to, that'll be a huge recreational and professional change that I've been beating my head against the wall since, I don't know, March 19th of last year. So, I think part of what slowed me down on the internet thing was I wasn't asking for help as soon as I should have. I had resources available to me. And I also I was afraid I'd make it worse, not better, which I think we often deal with. It's like, well, this situation's not great. My relationship with my boss isn't great, or this relationship with my client isn't perfect. But if I try to change it, it could get worse. And that's, that fear tends to be what scares people out of action.
So is there do you have an example of, when you are experiencing or considering change, do you always have a fear of what's going to happen?
Yes, almost always. And if I'm completely convinced that something is going to work, that's when I'm most scared. Like if I can't find the reason why I shouldn't do something, I know I've completely missed the mark.
You think it's too good to be true?
Correct. So, if you came to me today and said, Bob, you're not going to believe this. We have a benefactor who wants us to have the best equipment in the world. They've given us each $20,000 to go out and buy the best cameras, the best lights, the best set, the whole bit. Here's your $20,000, go. I'd be like, what's the catch, Tom? Something's wrong here. Something doesn't make sense. What do we know is no strings attached. This person just wants us to thrive. They love what we're doing. I would have to find a reason for it not to be as good as it looks.
Why
or else, because I am not used to anything being easy.
Okay.
And I don't like it to be easy. I think without getting too close to my youth, I think I struggled as a kid with a lot of things, and I think I'm comfortable in struggle. So when things aren't a struggle, that creates its own struggle.
Right.
I know it makes no sense whatsoever. It's silly, but...
Well, no, I can remember, the number of times my father would say to me, or parents would say to me, if it's too good to be true, you should question it. And it's funny because I often wonder, what if we went with maybe it is too good to be true, and I'm going to go with it.
Right.
That this might be something that is really as advertised, and it's the opportunity. I think unfortunately people have been burned, and they were sold a bill of goods, and so now they're like, well, now you're skeptical. I wonder though if we went through life thinking this is too good to be true, and I'm so excited that I decided to take advantage of whatever it was and move forward, and then just understood, okay, well, how did it work out, and what were the things, did it work out good or bad? What did I take from it? What might I have done differently? Because I would imagine that within almost every opportunity, there is something that you could take away that is too good to be true. Wow, I can't believe that this advertising actually worked, and it was great because it did this, this, and this. This is what I learned. Or, this merger with a company became better than I thought. Everybody said, nah, it's too good. The $20,000 that they gave for things. Why would anyone do that? Right. To me, almost becomes we just start questioning that people have good intentions, or right. That, opportunities are just too good. And it's an interesting way to go about our lives.
Tim says sometimes things that are too easy to be true are gifts that we should enjoy. So there you have it. And I guess, I was thinking as you were talking about the whole idea of love, that when we fall in love, I've counseled some of my nieces, some of my nephews, and they're like, well, when did you know that you were in love with Aunt Laura? And it's like, you just have that moment where and it's like, but what if I'm wrong? What if this isn't the right person? And there are all those what ifs. And that's a big decision. When you commit to someone else, that's a big decision. And I think we have the same thing occur a lot in our professional endeavors. We essentially are falling in love with our work and we're going to commit to it fully. And that's scary. That can be alarming.
What if it works?
And it does. Many times it does work. But I think I am constantly looking at why won't it work? So with the Clubhouse thing tomorrow, if you ask me right now, give me the list of all the reasons why this is a bad idea, I can fire them away. I'd give you 50 reasons. You will be here a little while, but I could do it. If you said, what are the good reasons? I could give you 2 or 3. And often my mind works that if the scales are tipped with more negatives than positives, that's not a good idea. But I'm starting to get comfortable with I'm predisposed to find the negatives, not the positives. So it's a false negative if such a thing exists, right?
Well, you can't really judge whether it's false or not until you do it. Right. The hard part is that you may be absolutely correct.
Right.
It may not be what you thought. And that might not be the case. So it's interesting, whether we are predisposed to think of what could go wrong or how could this be awesome?
Right.
And, how do we potentially start to change our thinking from, not just, it's good to understand what are all the things that might be obstacles that might not go as you planned. And also to think about what are all the things that could be great. And I think we are predisposed to come up with more that could go wrong than that could go right or that could be good. What happens if your goal was every time you looked at change, you had to come up with twice as many things of why this could be really beneficial as what happens on the other side.
All right, I'm going to take that challenge. That's what I'm going to do today. Every time I get a moment of change and I'm listing the reasons why I shouldn't, I'm going to write twice as many reasons why I should. I like that. That might be the one thing today, Tom.
I just think it's a way, or change the way that you say it. I heard this great presenter who, was as a kid doing some stupid things, playing with gasoline and burned. I mean, it's an awful story. Burned like he lost almost all the fingers on both hands.
Oh,
I think and I should get his name. I'll put it in the group because it's a great story. And he had 3 questions that, like, why me? And and there were 2 others, and I can't come up with them right now. And when he asked the same question of himself with a different intonation, it changed everything. Like he would get up in the morning and rather being like, why me? Look at what I am stuck with. He would be like, why me? Why am I so blessed that I have the opportunity to do this, this, and this? And it was just that change in the way he asked the question. Not like, well, it's just another day. Rather, it's another day. And as you look outside and watch the sun come up and think of all the possibilities. And I think that if we start to change how we approach change, that we can now start to be like, all right, what would happen if I thought of all of the really good things that could come happen? Not to be unrealistic and not to be like just to make them up. But if we focused on those things, put a little more emphasis on that rather than on all the things that could go wrong and why this could be awful. And maybe we will start to gain more from change than we think we could, and be more willing to consider it, accept it, and take on the challenge. Yeah.
I like it. I think you just gave us our one thing, Tom, and a reason behind it. So as we wrap up today, why don't we mention our networking event? I know that's coming up on, I think it's February 25th. Am I right? Yep, February 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to talk about change at that, we would love to talk about change. We're going to gather renegades, those people who are carving their own pathway towards success, get them together in a virtual room, and then shift them into smaller rooms with one other person so you can get to know other people. This is not like give your pitch and sell. This is talk to people and have real discussions so that you can start to build relationships. We've done this now, 10 times, I think, Tom? And we've had great results. The feedback I love is when people are like, oh, that hour went by so quick. I feel like I got to know people I really want to keep talking to. That's what we're trying to do. And we've figured out ways to do that. So, and it took us change. We had to change some things about how networking works. And I remember when we first did, it's like, is this going to work or is this not going to work? And fortunately for us, it's worked beautifully. So mark your calendar for Thursday, February 25th at 4 p.m. And you can find more information about it in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. You can actually tell us that you're going, so we'll know that it's not going to be a party of just Tom and me, because we get tired of talking to each other.
We do?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We hope that you were able to take away that one thing. And please, again, share your one thing, because we would love to hear what your thoughts are around change. And I think if you see in the comments, Bob put in a challenge for people today as a different way to go about looking at change. And how can we try to eliminate or reduce at least some of the fear? I think a little fear is good, because now we're not just pie in the sky, unbelievably optimistic that everything is going to be golden. We can still be realistic and focus as much on what might go well as what might not go as we expected. So if you're interested in conversations like that and you're not already a member of our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, please join us. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. It is a private group because we are trying to grow a space for a community to be able to figure out how to travel their own unique journey and take that next step along that pathway to success. So you just have to ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. We'd love to hear the stories of why people are a renegade, why they think they want to be a renegade, why they're uncertain, but they're interested. All of those things are fascinating ways about how we share what's real for each of us. And so we hope you will join us inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. And if you're a Clubhouse member, don't forget tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Look for the room that Bob and I are doing. It will be unique. So we hope we will see you there. All right, everyone, if you are not yet a member of the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, I'm going to show a little video that shares why you should become a part of our growing community. With that, I hope you have a great day. And if we don't see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, we will see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Carving your own path is tough. You want and need a community to offer you insights and advice, share inspiration, provide support, and save you time and money. But where do you find all that? Here's the easy answer: the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners identify their next steps. Here's some of what you will find at the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to ringofrenegades.com and join today. Find and accomplish those next steps.